Hey, I'm Daniel James McFadden, and I just released my debut album, August I'm Yours, and this is the Behind the Album series. August I'm Yours is a album about big life changes and returning to something that feels like home and something that you're comfortable with. And for me, that was a place after I had a lot of shows get canceled last year. I went out and worked construction in Ontario for 5 months and had this longing for returning back home to the east coast of Canada. And a lot of those songs on this record are about that desire to come back home and kind of the desperation of missing a place that you love and a time of the year as well that I love. The recording process was really strange with all the different restrictions that were going on with COVID during the recording of this album. So it all started in Kentville, Nova Scotia with a producer named Ryan Roberts, who I've worked with in the past. We kind of shared the vision for this album and really wanted to start recording drums and bass and kind of molding the rest of the album around those two key elements. So we started with those two features, but there was a lot of provincial border closures, and we had planned to go to Moncton and New Brunswick to record the drums. And there was border closures, so we had to wait and perfectly time our trips to go along with these different closures that were opening and closing at kind of random times. And then after we finally got the drums recorded, we weren't able to travel between Halifax and Kentville, and I was living in Halifax, so I had to record a lot of this stuff remotely, some of it in my bedroom in Halifax, some of it in north end of Halifax with a bassist named Mike McDougall, and in the end it was in 5 different studios that we recorded all these different tracks, and it was really tough, and it took a lot longer than it should have, but in the end I think it kind of created a more diverse, interesting product. Most of the writing for this album happened in Loretto, Ontario, a really small town that just has one pub, and that's pretty much it. That's where my sister was living with my brother-in-law, and I was living with them while I was out there working construction. So I would find kind of times, moments in between like work and dinner, or like late at night before bed, to jot notes down and write songs. And most of the songs happen out there, and it started for the most part with a melody I'd come up with while just kind of jamming on guitar, and then I would write the lyrics after. I'd start with just kind of like humming a tune, and then a lot of the times the meanings for the songs came like partway through the process of actually writing the song, and that's how I like to write now for the most part. A couple of the songs were written in quarantine when I headed back to Nova Scotia, and a couple of them were written before heading to Ontario, early 2020, and a couple of them were written on a plane or in a car as well. So the vision for this album and when it started, I was mainly working with producer Ryan Roberts, and he's done all the songs I've released in the past, and we work really well together. So I was working with him in Kentville, and then when we decided that we wanted to start with drums and bass, my friend Taylor McKnight, who I've also done a lot of work with, flew out from BC and recorded the drums for the record, and he kind of shaped a lot of the songs, along with the bassist Mike McDougall from the Jimmy Swift Band. He's an amazing bassist, and we worked in his studio in Halifax, and that's once we had that meat of the drums and the bass, the other things kind of followed. I played a lot of the guitar on the album. Ryan Roberts played piano and mandolin and banjo. Who else was there? Sarah Surrett sang on it, a friend of mine. Christian Tay, Ian Sherwood. We did one of the songs 10:30 in his studio in Halifax. There's a lot of different players on the album. And that's kind of what I wanted out of this, because everything else was just kind of done between Ryan and I. So it was nice to expand that out to have more people playing on it. And in the end, I had a lot of help from a friend of mine, Craig Cardiff, and another awesome folk musician, and David Campbell did a lot of the mixing and mastering along with Danny Bourgeois. This is the first track off of my album August I'm Yours, and it's called Fear is Driving. Running away at the end of the day, I am the crest of the wave your beach has stolen. You take me in silence, your rope pulled tight and tight, my path controlled by lies, 'cause fear is driving, fear is driving. I was a rich man, though my wealth was not in gold. I had the love, I let go alone again. Fear found me tied on a bed made out of stone. I watched the car roll down the road and I got in. And in my mind I saw the day when love, she rested on my shoulder. Now weak and growing colder as the days they slip. Sleep with me, darkness, how you hide me from the sun. But she's and in her shadow, all the nights don't feel so cold. And I'm not alone, and I'm hiding in that neon summer glow, singing oh, oh, oh. We took the road out past the orchards in the snow. We watched the towns wither, leaves and burning home. And I found a way to live without love anymore. When I was cold and on the floor, she cut the light. So sleep with me, darkness, how you hide me from the sun. But she's and in her shadow, oh, the nights don't feel so cold. And I'm with you, I'm not alone, and I'm hiding in that neon summer glow, singing oh, 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 darkness, how you hide me from the sun. But she's in her shadow, all the nights don't feel so cold. And I'm with you, I'm not alone, and I'm hiding in that neon summer glow. We can both die young if you show me the way back home.